join today's meeting will be able to watch the recording, and we'll have office hours starting tomorrow, every other week on Friday from 2 to 3. So if they have questions, or if any of you guys have questions after this that you don't think of at the end of this training, we will go ahead and make sure that we can answer those in the office hours. And then we will also be posting any questions asked after this meeting and moving forward in the office hours to our Partners in Care website so that we have a frequently asked questions column. And then, let's see, I think I saw that we won't have Wynn joining us today. Is that correct? Do we have CFS on the line? Hi, Jess. And
Yep.
do we have DVAC on the line?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And do we have Susanna Wesley on the line?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. And how about PACT?
I'm here, Alana.
Hey, Alana, thanks for joining.
Hi. Thank you.
I think that's everybody. Am I missing anyone, Jess? No. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Well, I'm Lauren, in case I haven't gotten a chance to meet any of you guys or vice versa. I'm the Emergency Housing Voucher Program Manager. I thank you all for taking the time to join us today. We're really excited to go over the city application process for victim service providers. Did anyone not have a chance to attend the general EHV city training that wasn't specific to the victim service providers? Or has anyone not seen that recording? Okay, awesome. Sounds like and looks like everybody's gotten a chance to see that. In case you haven't, we do have the first recording is posted to our Partners in Care website. We're still working on getting the second one up there, but you can access that on the Emergency Housing Voucher page of the Partners in Care website. There's a video. You can just click it and watch that there. That will cover everything from the application packet details to how to complete the assessments and what the assessments look like, but it did go into a bit more on HMIS since it was general providers. So knowing that we don't use HMIS for victim service providers, that you guys don't use that, we're going through the CES Google platform, and I'm going to pass the floor over to Morgan, if now's a good time, and she and the CES team will kind of break down how we use that platform for victim service providers.
Thanks, Lauren. Hey, you guys. I'm Morgan with the Partners in Care CES team. We also have Daryl and Julia on from our team. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So I think we didn't hear anyone say you hadn't seen the training from last week or the week before about the city PHA emergency housing vouchers and how the whole process will go. If you did go to that training, then you'll be familiar with this, the workflow I'm going to show. And mostly what I'm just going to speak on is what's the difference with accessing the EHV assessment form and where to put client documents, since we're not using HMIS for either one of those tasks. We use the referral sheets to communicate once the referral's been made, just not in order to input the assessment. I do know that we still have some things to figure out regarding consent forms. With the Google platform, I believe maybe, was it PACT, Jess, and Susanna Wesley who had their forms already in? Okay. But I know that CFS is still working on a consent form that's up to their standards, and we're actually working with our IT department to make sure we have what they need in order to be able to enter personal information or documents into the Google platform. So just, if you have any questions on it, please bear with us. We're trying to figure that out as we go. So with that, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to walk through it. Lauren, please feel free to correct me if there's anything I misspeak on, and then we'll just have questions. So at the end, I'll pass it back to Lauren and you can take it wherever from there. Okay, I just lost you guys. There you are. Okay. Okay. So you may have seen Lauren go through this workflow last week or the week before. It might have just been last week. Doesn't feel like it if it was. So we added just a little bit to what's different with victim service providers, and that is what is here. So it's really just accessing, at least the part that I'm going to speak on is just accessing the emergency housing vouchers. So beginning at, it says coming from steps 2 or 6. So coming from step where the client's presenting at a victim service provider, or step 6, they've called the city and county's office and they've determined that yes, that person is most likely eligible for the resource. And then the city and county is then connecting the client with a victim service provider, those 4 hotlines that are that we have access to. So once someone comes from there, the victim service provider would complete, it's called the DV, but it's for any victim service provider to complete the DV EHV assessment form. It's a Google form. And I'm guessing maybe after this, we'll just send it out and maybe people can bookmark it, or we can, I don't think we want to post it anywhere because then we may get a lot of forms from people that it doesn't pertain to, and that will be a lot to sift through, but definitely sending out the form so everyone has it. But there's a Google form. I'm going to show that now. It looks just like this. It is not exactly identical, but the questions and the information gathered is identical to what's in HMIS. It doesn't include any names. So it asks for the victim service provider's email. So like Julie, it would ask for your email, the household's identifier, date of birth, your information, your contact information. Is this household porting from another PHA? Is anyone in the household a former foster youth? So you would fill those answers out. Make sure that they don't meet either of these exclusionary criteria, such as they're subject to a lifetime registration requirement under a state sex offender registration program, or has been convicted of manufacturing or producing methamphetamine on the premises of federally assisted housing. So making sure that the client cannot answer yes to either of these, right? You would click next. Does the household have all of the eligibility documents? So verify that they've all been gathered, and you can do that by going to the PIC website, the emergency housing voucher tab. I know I'm jumping around a little bit here, so feel free if you have questions, write them down and we'll go over it. But you can find all of the eligibility documents here, city and county Honolulu application. All of that information is in here. So you would verify that they have these documents or that they're in process to gather these documents. And then you can upload them here, what you have, and then you can continue to add additional documents, and we'll get into that later. So then I'm going to click next. Determining the eligibility category. All of these households would fall under the individuals or families who are fleeing, attempting to flee, domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, or human trafficking. So you can just click this third option, but it lists every category. There's 4 categories, eligibility categories for the emergency housing vouchers. So you would click this one here, click next. And then it goes into health, housing, and finance questions. So it just asks questions like, are they connected to a PCP? Do they keep their appointments? It just kind of looks to see what's the person's engagement with their community supports already. Have they been in housing for some time or no? Are they, maybe have back rent or utility payments that they need to get on a schedule for if they're not already. So asks different questions like that. Just going to click through these. And then are they currently housed, yes or no? If they're not, then you would complete an LEP housing needs assessment so that the landlord engagement program can assist with housing. After that, you would click submit. So that's the assessment that everyone should have access to, definitely after this training, if not already. So VSP completes the DV EHV assessment form. You begin working on documents. We encourage you to start working on documents now as soon as you can, because that's been the biggest challenge with the emergency housing vouchers thus far. There are 2 documents that are additional to victim service providers. That is the consent form. So making sure there's a consent form to share this person's information via the Google platform with the Partners in Care team and the city and county team for the purposes of administering the emergency housing voucher, as well as the victim service provider eligibility form. So HUD actually gives us a sample form that just says, yes, this person's coming from a victim service provider and meets this eligibility category for the emergency housing voucher. And that's all we need to know, that they fall into this eligibility category. So I'm going to show that to you. We were just looking at the on the Partners in Care website, the eligibility documents, the application packet. When you click on that, it's actually the very last page or two that just says certification for survivors of DV, dating violence, sexual assault. So the purpose of this form, so this is to verify eligibility. You would just say this is their applicant name. They are a survivor of DV, of human trafficking, whatever it may be, and then your agency's information. So this is what we can use that HUD's provided to all of us to not have to verify in some other way. So those are the two documents that are additional for a victim service provider to do. Okay, so once this form is completed, these documents are being gathered simultaneously prior and after. CES, the CES team's notified whenever a new assessment's completed. And once a new assessment's completed, we see an email that something has been added. Then we would make sure that that eligibility form's in there. We're verifying eligibility for all of the categories. So long as that document is filled out, that is our eligibility, our verification. And we add new applicants to the EHV team's document checklist spreadsheet. So they have a spreadsheet of all EHV applicants because they're verifying documents before they even get to the city. So what happens here is when you've completed this form that we went over, CES adds that person to the EHV document checklist, which I'll maybe that's something, Lauren, you could go over if you like. But so we're adding people to that form to flag it for the EHV team, that the EHV team is then taking a look at all the applicants and making sure that they're connecting with you folks on missing documents. What CES is also going to do at that time is we've created a client folder in the Google Drive based on which victim service provider the client belongs to. So Susanna Wesley has, I believe you have 2, maybe 3 clients now that have applied for the EHV. So each client has their own folder where you can continue to upload.
I'm in the meeting now.
Sorry, I'm just going to mute. Cool. So there are client folders specific to the client for each person that you're assessing, and it kind of serves as in HMIS. We have client profiles, and then you upload all client documents to that profile. It's kind of similar to that. So I'll show that to you now. I'm not going to show any personal information here, but just what the folders look like. So we have a folder for Susanna Wesley for DVAC, Women in Need, CFS, Impact. If I click on Susanna Wesley's folder, each of these clients has, so SWCC-001 has a folder, and client 002 has a folder. And I think there's a 003 that we'll make as well. I do want to point out, Susanna Wesley has not added any names. We're not adding any names to these documents. But if I click into this folder, there are still no names. The Susanna Wesley person did, their name is on here, but the client's name is not on here. So the documents in here do have sensitive information, but it's titled by their name and just what the document is. So it's 001's W-2 form. It's their bank statement, their income tax return, right? So it's no information that is seen immediately unless you click into the document. Also, only Susanna Wesley's team will have access to this folder. So only the DVAC team will have access to this folder. You may have a link to the we'll send out the links to the folders, but only the DVAC emails and their DVAC coordinated entry accounts will have access to the DVAC folder. So DVAC team, you can click on this. You can get into all of your clients' documents. If you click on the Women in Need, it won't allow access. And for any of the other groups as well. I believe the Jess has access. Our EHV team to verify the documents in the city and county will have access because we need to share that information to administer the voucher.
Hey, Morgan, it's Alana.
Hey, Alana.
I have a question. So are you saying after we begin uploading the documents via the Google application that then you guys will create these folders based on the client numbers, or we're supposed to be creating folders?
No, we'll create the client folder and then we'll make sure that you know a new client folder has been created. Please upload documents to here. And you can, if you have saved this link saved, if Susanna Wesley team has their folder maybe bookmarked, you can always go in and see, okay, my client folder's been created. I'm going to add additional documents. I think before with the HPHA Google form, it was you had to just submit a form again. And so that
keep
just
doing it. Yeah.
yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay. It was Kathleen, not me.
Better.
But yeah. Okay.
So this hopefully, so long as you know where to go, if you have any questions, you can reach out to our team, to Jess, to the EHV team, and we'll direct you to the right place. Also, if there's like one person at your agency that can is more familiar than others, I would definitely refer to that person.
And this is going to be a new assessment form, yeah? That this new DHV assessment form, it's different.
It's actually it's different questions, but it's pretty much the same. We modified the old one, so it's the same assessment.
The same link, or you're going to share a new link?
Same link.
Okay.
Yep, same link. We've just updated all the questions to match the updated EHV assessment that's in HMIS as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we covered this part. So new client folders are created, organized, shared only within those agencies. Yeah, and then this goes into then you go back to step 12. So these are the parts that are different for CES anyway, when it comes to a victim service provider. Otherwise, once this is done, you have a client that's on the EHV document checklist, then the EHV team reaches out to the provider, invites you to the provider meeting. I'll just stop there because I don't know if Lauren, if you guys have any different workflow for that, but any questions on how you would access the form, the folders, any part of this Google side?
You'll read that form, yeah, you said? I'm like, I can't find it even though I know I have it.
Yeah, we'll send it out. We'll send it out again as well with all of the client folders, not client folders, the agency folders, and then you can just click on your folder. And then Lauren, if we wanted to send out the doc checklist too, so people know like where to find that as well. But
yeah. And this is Victoria from Susanna Wesley. I just had a question. Just to confirm, we're also uploading our, the agency consent and that VSP eligibility form as part of the documents. Okay.
Yes, those are some of the additionally required docs. Yep, for a victim service provider. Any other questions?
I see it. Sorry. I think I meant we can just go back and upload them. Sorry, that's what I meant to. Okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, thanks, Victoria. Go ahead, Lauren.
I just wanted to let everyone know that for all who have completed assessments for the city application packet, I just now went ahead and sent out and shared the link for the EHV document checklist, which I can go over when Morgan's done here, but it's just a brief checklist that shows all of the eligibility documents that are included in the application packet, and we will be setting up a regular weekly meeting, which is still to be determined on those dates and the times with the city and county. But we'll be going over that in May to review the application packets that have been submitted. I just went ahead and shared it with your CES emails. So you can check there and you should be able to see it's the third tab on the bottom. We use the same sheet for the state and the city. So if you look at the first page, there will be many more names that are for the state. It'll be on the third tab on the bottom. Thank you.
Sorry, Lauren, did you hear that? It looks like my internet cut out just as I spoke there.
I didn't hear what you said before, but yes, I think it froze for just a moment. I hear you now.
Okay, I was just saying, did you want to go into that? I can stop sharing now. That's all I had.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can go into that really quickly. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
I'm going to share my screen here. So this is the spreadsheet that I was mentioning. It's called the EHV document checklist. I'm going to scroll over so you can see here at the bottom on the first page, you'll see the whole sheet here. These are inactive and from the state, and then you'll see the city EHV navigation and doc checklist. That's the one that we're going off of for everything moving forward. And you'll see on the left, it'll be assigned to either Madison or myself. Madison, who's on this call, I'm so sorry I didn't introduce you again. She's our program coordinator, and she works very closely with myself, the CES team, the city and county as well. We are the folks who really go through and verify all of these documents. We've really only verified for one urgent situation that we have that's time sensitive, but aside from that, we're not starting the review process for anyone until May when we have those weekly meetings set up. But for now, this is what that spreadsheet looks like. On the top here, you'll see all of the eligibility documents that are included in the application packet, as well as the additional required documents. So for example, if they have income, we have the income verification tab to make sure that we verify each step, including their income itself, their assets, their statements, and things of that nature. That's pretty much all I have for the spreadsheet. And then, did anyone have any questions about anything we've covered so far?
Lauren, I have a question. When we start in May, when the provider meetings are start up, like what will that look like? That'll just be kind of an opportunity for everybody to talk about what's missing, or like what will that look like?
So we're still trying to iron out the details with the city and county for what's going to work best. To give you just some insight to how it's functioned with the state so far, since we haven't started this process with the city and county just yet, we meet once a week and we have all providers split into 2 meetings, and we meet every Monday, and one meeting runs typically about an hour, sometimes 2. The other meeting runs up to 4 hours. And we go through every single client and every document that they've submitted, make sure that we've tracked everything that's been submitted within the last week and that we've updated the sheet. And then we go over anything that's missing. We started off as having regular correspondence, so we sent out emails, but it was just so time consuming for everyone that we started doing meetings to try to reduce it and just get that happening in real time. And then we would have our team who's not sharing the screen look in, I mean, it was applicable for HMIS, but we also would look in the Google platform to see what we may have missed and answer questions. For time-consuming purposes, and being that there's so many more vouchers for this program than there is for the state, we haven't really determined if that's the best route yet, but I think that that's kind of the direction that we're looking to go. It might not be covering every single client. I think what we discussed was having it be limited to a certain time slot per provider. So if you're there and you show up at say 10:15 and you have your slot till 10:30, we're hoping to just go through every single client. And then we're hoping to save the questions for office hours. So if there's questions about missing documents, about what's needed, if your clients have questions, we're hoping that you guys can show up to office hours. And what we're doing differently as well for this program is we're trying to take all of those questions, as I mentioned in the beginning, and try to add them and their answers onto the EHV webpage on the Partners in Care website, so that it's easier for folks to have reference tools like that without having to ask in the meeting. City, county team, did you guys want to speak on that at all?
Let me turn myself on. Hi, everybody. We're just excited to be working with all of you. So get your documents ready, get it uploaded, and again, there are priorities even within the 4 categories. Our focus is elderly and then age out foster youth, but it may be where we won't have enough to just consider them. So please, again, any family that fits into that category, please go and put the application packets in. So we're looking forward to working with all of you. We know we have 1 voucher is used already, so 311 vouchers. We hope that we don't have 311 vouchers issued on the first week. We hope it's spread out a little bit, like, and then we can go through the process with you all the way through until we use them all up. But the other thing is that you don't want to have all vouchers on the street at the same time, because everybody's fighting for those same units. So we'll work on it together. We'll get through this together, and we thank you all for your participation, your excitement, as well as we're excited, and we thank our PIC partners, because without them, this wouldn't happen. It's a partnership on all parts that HUD is requiring us to do, but I think that's the wave of the future. I think that vouchers that the PHAs get from here on out will kind of sort of look like this, where we have to be in a partnership together, because we all want to help this, with the same goal of getting people who are houseless into homes. So I thank you. And as Lauren says, a kind of second in all of this, HPHAs, set the pace and the route to go. But our route may be different. And we're hoping that whatever the team learned from their experience with HPHA, that we get the best of it, best of the world, And so if it's because when I talked to Lauren, I'm Jane. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Jane. I'm the administrator for the City Section 8 program. With me today, my team is Doris and Wendy, Doris Villario, Wendy Kim, Carrie Kanashiro is the supervisor. My supervisor is Gail Kaito. She's also on the meeting today. And, what we want, what Lauren had said before was that they had meetings, like 4, 5, 6-hour meetings, and I couldn't see that happening. So we may not go to the same route. And as Lauren suggested, maybe have pockets of time just for you to come in and do your thing and then move on. And then the next, like a dental hygiene appointment, and you go in and get cleaned out and then move on. So we'll see. We may have to tweak it, but we're in this together. So we'll work it out. If you have any questions after you come beyond PIC EHV, we're hoping that our city EHV team will be able to contact you directly, so that Lauren and Morgan's teams can do their thing and not get stuck with the little itty bitty things that we might have questions with for your clients. So cross our fingers, everything goes. Thanks, Doris.
Thank you so much, Jane. Jess, did that answer your question for the most part? Okay, perfect. It's all a learning curve. We'll get there.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for your patience, everyone on the line for the future too, with trying to figure all of this out. We had a question from Kahala about office hours. Is that still every other Friday beginning tomorrow, 12 to 1? And then upon request?
Yes, with the only change in there is that we had some feedback that it would be better for folks if we did 2 to 3. So we've changed it to 2 to 3. I will be, canceling that one, that the invitation was sent out to folks, just because we don't have the call-in feature. So I've requested that Laura Thielen, my supervisor, that she send it out from her email, or at least create the event from her Outlook account, and then our HMIS team will hopefully send it out by tomorrow morning. I haven't heard back from her just yet, but I'll follow up with her this evening if I don't hear from her. And if anybody doesn't receive that link by tomorrow morning, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll make sure we get connected.
Thanks, Lauren. If nobody gets that, and if I do, I can forward it to the bigger group too. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions?
Well, there's always office hours tomorrow, so you might think of something within 24 hours. Just come back on tomorrow and we'll be here.
Yes, absolutely. Well, until then, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We really appreciate your time. It's a pleasure to put some of the faces to the names that I've been working with that I hadn't got to see so much. If anybody needs anything, feel free to give me a call or email, but otherwise, hopefully I'll get to see some of you folks tomorrow. All right, everyone, take care. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.
Sorry,
Thank
Lauren,
you.
Can I keep you guys for a sec?
Yeah,
Thanks,
Let me
Lauren. Thanks,
just-
Morgan.
just gonna
Morgan, did
stop.
you want
Thanks, you
me to
guys.
stay on or just Lauren?